In 1327, loyalty was a death sentence. England's King Edward II had risen to the throne, young and inexperienced, trusting to isolate and ruling with a heart that often overlooked ambition and betrayal. His love for his companions, especially Piers Gaveston and later Hugh Despenser, enraged the nobles, who watched the kingdom falter under favoritism and greed. When Gaveston was executed, Edward's trust in his allies was shattered, and the seeds of rebellion took root in the shadows. Amidst this unrest, Queen Isabella of France, intelligent, ambitious, and sharp, endured humiliation at the hands of the king's favorites. Her lands were seized, her son threatened, and her influence stripped away. She fled to France, where she met Roger Mortimer, a nobleman bent on revenge. Together, they plotted a plan that would shake the foundations of England. They gathered an army, gained support from discontented nobles, and in 1326, they crossed the Channel, invading England with determination and cunning. Castle after castle fell before them, and the king found himself abandoned by those who had once sworn loyalty. Edward II was captured, stripped of his crown, and imprisoned in the cold stone halls of a fortress. His power was stolen, his allies executed, and the weight of betrayal pressed down upon him. The man who had once ruled a kingdom now faced a grim reality. His own queen and her lover controlled the throne. For a brief moment, Isabella and Mortimer reigned over England. Mortimer wielded power with ruthless efficiency, while Isabella, the she-wolf of France, commanded fear and obedience from the court. Yet history is unforgiving to those who rise too quickly. Ambition often sows the seeds of its own destruction. Meanwhile, Edward's son, the young Edward III, grew under the shadow of his mother and her lover. Though still a boy, he understood the fragility of power and the danger of complacency. He watched, waited, and learned. By 1330, Edward had grown into a determined young man, ready to reclaim the throne and restore justice. Under the cover of night, he and a group of loyal knights secretly infiltrated Nottingham Castle. They moved through the shadows with precision, striking when Mortimer least expected it. The coup was swift and decisive. Roger Mortimer was captured, dragged from the chambers where he had plotted and schemed, and forced to face the consequences of his betrayal. Queen Isabella watched in silence as her lover's fate was sealed. Mortimer, once feared across the kingdom, met the gallows with a mixture of defiance and despair. The she-wolf had lost her teeth. The reign of ambition and deceit had ended. Edward III ascended fully to the throne, not just as a king in name, but as a ruler who had reclaimed justice for his father and restored order to England. The shadows that had haunted the kingdom receded, and history took note of the treachery that had nearly toppled the monarchy. The story of Edward II, Isabella, Mortimer, and Edward III is a tale of ambition, betrayal, and revenge. It reminds us that the game of power is never without cost, and that loyalty and treachery are often two sides of the same coin. Thrones are won and lost not only on the battlefield, but also in the hearts and minds of those who seek them. England in 1327 bore witness to the beginning of a real game of thrones, where ambition led to downfall, love became betrayal, and justice was finally reclaimed by the hand of the rightful heir. This is the story of men and women whose choices echoed across centuries, shaping a kingdom and leaving a legacy that whispers through history even today.